Welcome, welcome. Good evening, good evening. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope you're doing well, hope you're doing well. We'll be getting started momentarily here. But for those of you who may not know, those of you who are new here, we are not doing the traditional Tuesday night live stream. The Tuesday live stream was moved to Sunday. So the Mystic and the Magus is not happening anymore on Tuesdays. So Tuesdays are now open. I may go live like I am now, or I may not go live on a Tuesday. The Tuesday streams with Quinn from Man of Medim, the Mystic and the Magus, has been moved to Sundays. Same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but they are no longer happening on Tuesdays. They are now on Sundays. So if you're here for the Mystic and the Magus, the episode that you would have gotten tonight happened this past Sunday. So if you want to check that out, that'll be available tomorrow at 10 a.m. on my YouTube channel. So be sure to follow my YouTube channel, also The Mystical Rebel. Tonight, I wanted to do something a little different. Rather than just doing the traditional Q&A, I felt it might be best to sort of do what the backboard says here, which is discuss traditional occult initiation, which is not something that is talked about a lot, especially in our modern day sort of praxis, and it's certainly not talked about at all here on TikTok. So I figure we can go ahead and talk about that. Give me 1 second here. Let me see if I can... One second here. What? What is that? Go away. Okay. All right. But before we dive into the topic of initiation, there is something else that I wanted to talk about, and would also like to get the thoughts of you guys, the thoughts of the audience, as you guys are starting to pile in here. So I've been noticing a lot lately, coming across my YouTube feed, right? Are videos, how do I want to describe it? It's videos that discuss the occult at some length, but the videos are not by occultists themselves, right? So it's outsiders, right? People who don't practice the occult and virtually know nothing about the occult that I see coming across my YouTube feed on these mainstream, these major platforms like Joe Rogan, and these people don't have any occult knowledge, any occult experience, any occult training. They don't study the occult. These are just people who happen to have a weird experience, and for some reason that experience gets put on display and gets promoted, right? But we never see it on the flip side of the actual occultists. Let me give a mundane example. If we stick with Joe Rogan, right? He'll have someone on, some random, person who, does extreme this or travels all over here or whatever. And this person is not a scientist. They're not an astrophysicist. They're not anything like that. But they'll talk about aliens, and they'll talk about life on other planets, and they'll talk about like all this stuff that this person is not qualified to talk about, right? But that's not it, right? Maybe not the next episode, or maybe not the next 2 episodes, but eventually there will be an actual astrophysicist to come onto the show, and they'll discuss these things, and they usually clear up any sort of nonsense that was said prior by someone who's not qualified to discuss these things. But we don't see that with the occult. right? We see people like the Python Cowboy, or we see people like that one guy who claimed that he was an African prince, and then he then he came here and got a citizenship and went into the Navy, and then he got out of the Navy and went to Hollywood and started to see all the occult stuff in Hollywood. Or that one Asian guy who is going around all these podcasts talking about how he was in the music industry and he saw all the demonic stuff, and all these people are not qualified to discuss the occult at any length, right? And yet they get promoted, they get these placements on these major shows, and no one is then asking for the flip side like they would with any other subject. No one is then asking for the flip side from an actual occultist, right? No one is bringing on any of the popular authors that are known. No one is bringing on any of the popular consultants that Hollywood uses for their movies and their TV shows that depict some sort of real occultism. They have consultants that come on set to make it seem somewhat accurate, right? These people don't get those opportunities. It's only the people in mundane circles. You talk about aliens and you're just a skier, you're a world-class skier, and that's great, but why are we talking about aliens with you? You're a skier, right? But then a couple episodes later, they will have an astrophysicist on to discuss aliens, and you get both sides of the coin. You get the scientist perspective, and then you get some nobody who, yes, he's a great skier, but why do we care what he thinks about aliens? You get both sides. But when it comes to the occult, that doesn't happen, right? You get the random guy and, I had a ghost experience or whatever, but then he doesn't bring on an occultist. He doesn't bring on a magician. He doesn't bring on a witch or a shaman or something like that to discuss these things. You only get the one side of the perspective. And I wonder why that is. Why doesn't anybody ever say, well, what about the people who actually do that thing? The thing that you just talked about with that guest, he doesn't actually do it. He's just talking about some weird experience he had while walking in the woods one day. But somebody put that there. There are people who do these things. Why don't we talk to them? Why don't we get them on? Why is it only one side of the coin for just the occult and not for any other sort of subject, right? If somebody went on there talking all kinds of medical nonsense, I promise you, within the next 5 episodes, they would have an actual doctor on there to clear up. I mean, now, maybe they won't say, yeah, 5 episodes ago, so-and-so was on here and he was talking crazy, doc. So because then they know they would never get anybody else to come on the show because you'll just rat them out to the next person who knows more about them. Obviously, a good host wouldn't do that. But they will make sure to ask questions and to make sure that any previous unverified stuff gets cleared up. But they don't do that with the occult. They just take some random guy's experience and they go, well, that must be it, and move along. And the occult deserves a seat at the table. We're obviously known, again, Hollywood uses consultants for when they do big budget movies or shows that depict witchcraft in a real way. They do have consultants come on set to make sure that they're using accurate symbols, that, the incantations, seem legit. Even if they're saying gibberish, they're written in the correct prose and the correct stanzas to seem legit, making the ritual process seem legit, whatever. It's not like that the people who pick the guests for these podcasts don't know that these people exist. Surely you have a friend in the film industry. Surely you have a friend in the TV industry. Surely you go, like everyone in Hollywood, surely you go out with these people, breakfast, lunch, dinner, after parties. Surely you see them at the Samsung after party, the Grammys after party, the Oscar after party, surely the Streamies after party. Surely you see them. You guys hang out, you talk. That's how networks are made. That's how connections are made. You're not just blind, walking around Hollywood, but yet no one thinks to bring in actual occult. Every other subject, you get to see the dichotomy, not the occult. Why? Why is that? I find that very interesting. Let's see what's going on here. Let me scroll up a little bit here. Why is my boyfriend afraid for me to give him a tarot reading? I don't know. You got to ask him. Ask him, why is he afraid? They are basically just storytelling for entertainment. Yeah, I do think that a lot. Like, I think that a lot of the stories are just made up and just to get views and just to make clips and to go viral. And if you have actual occult knowledge, when you hear these things, you'll know that this is made up. This is everything he's naming is something out of a horror movie, not something out of a legitimate ritual or sacrifice or whatever. I agree. Here and watching for the hurricane. I'm in the path. Uh-oh. Well, I hope you stay safe. Yeah, my brother called me earlier. He lives in Orlando, and he was saying how they're about to get hit. But he said it shouldn't come directly over them. It's going to stay out in the beach area or whatever. So it shouldn't be too bad. But stay safe, anybody who's in the path of the hurricane. Ooh, excuse me. It's occult though, right? Why would you care about that kind of stuff? What do you mean? What do you mean, why would I care? Are you not familiar with my channel? Jesus can forgive you, bro. Thank you very much, Jamal. I will keep that in mind. Hey, what's up, Corporate Hermeticist? You're the best for teaching real stuff and pointing out all the nonsense. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Stefano. Stefano. Va bene. Hollywood is run by witches. It's not. Hollywood is run by 6 studios. Well, 5 now, but why would you care about the public's misunderstanding of occult practices? It's in the name. So you're just going off of the actual etymology of what the occult means, not what it is in its essence, which is not so much that things are hidden from the public, especially in today's world, where you can walk into your local Barnes & Noble and find legitimate occult text. It's not really hidden anymore. Greetings. Hey, what's going on, Dr. Mama? Welcome. The Illuminati sacrificed my teddy bear to the Galactic Federation. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Who? What do you mean who, Benji Comics? What do you mean who? So the craft wasn't accurate. I mean, some things in the craft were accurate for traditional witchcraft. Not everything was accurate, but there were some things that were accurate. How do you ditch the CIA and the FBI? You gotta join them. Join them. Go to their website. Apply for a job. Join them. Do you think Francis Bacon possibly wrote the King James Bible and Shakespeare? No. I am into Jack. I don't know what that means. Who's Jack? Hi, what are we learning today? We're going to be discussing occult initiation, Mage and Bougie. As soon as I get through these last 7 comments here. Hey, what's going on, 30 Obsidian Eyes? What's up? Also, are we implying witches are a bad thing? Not at all. Not even a little bit. Thank you for the gift, Strange Grub Collector. Sorry, I'm not full screen, and it can't like, but that would have been cool. My little Ready Player One goggles. My little hey, yeehaw! Thank you, thank you. Have you heard of the book called The Master Book of Psalms by Gene Kent? Yes, I have. Thank you, Strange Bargo. My goodness, appreciate your support. Yes, I'm actually very familiar with two of Gene Kent's proteges. We used to work together. Food Chat Nampoint and or Fork Nampoint. Rocky Geese is his real name, and Brother Moloch are both initiates of the late Gene Kent, who passed away a couple years ago. And I don't know if you heard, but there was some turmoil over control of his house, the house of Gene Kent down in South Florida. And Fu Chat Nampoint was one of the people who was contending for the house. And so he was let go and all this other stuff. There was this whole drama. He started his own associate and all this other stuff. So I don't know. But yes, I am familiar with that text. Yes. I haven't read it in a quite a long time, but yes, I am familiar. Do you have an interpretation of alchemy? Not really. I'm not an alchemist. Although the creator that I go live with on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Alchemic Mason, he is an alchemist. And so if you want to come around tomorrow, around the same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be doing a Hermetic live stream with Alchemic Mason. And he'll be happy to answer any of your alchemic questions. But I personally am not an alchemist. Initiation into the occult sounds intense. Well, I mean, it can be intense. It depends on the path that you decide to take, right? So, I don't know. A Pelomeombe, getting scratched in that. That's their, ritual of initiation, I guess you could say. I would say that's a lot more intense than your Wiccan, thing. So it would depend on the system and the tradition that you're going into. But we will be getting into that shortly. Love you, man. Glad to see I caught your live again. Well, welcome, Mel. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. Would you consider self-initiation as valid? Traditionally, no. However, with modern systems, so systems that don't belong to any sort of traditional system, I guess. I don't know another way to phrase that, so that probably sounds weird when you word it that way, but I don't know another way to phrase that. But modern systems like Chaosophy or I don't know. I don't really do modern systems, so I can't think of any specific names. Like the New Hermetics and Aquaria and all that other stuff. No, those don't require it. And so to practice general magic, if you just want to learn how to, cast spells, do rituals, astral project, lucid dream, those things do not require it. But if you wish to go deeper and start to do what I essentially end every live stream and every video with, which is seek the mysteries, if you want to start seeking the mysteries, initiation, in my opinion, and in the opinion of pretty much all the traditional schools, would state that it is a requirement. So, yes. Which I guess that is probably a good introduction to get started into tonight's topic. So why don't we go ahead and get started. So tonight we're going to be talking about occult initiation. I got my notes here ready to go. And all right, so first, let me state this. This is coming from a traditional perspective. I'm not going to be talking about modern systems and initiation from a modern perspective. This is going to be traditional. This is going to be classical. So this is not going to be what, Silver Raven Wolf says, or Raven Grimassi, or Ann Mora, or Scott Cunningham, or Matt Arendt, or any of these modern day Llewellyn mainstream occultists. They are legit, and most of them have received initiation, which is the weird thing. Like, if you actually look into their background, most of them were initiated into a legitimate school of trad witchcraft. So it's weird that they are promoting not getting initiated. But that's neither here nor there. So yeah, we're going to be focusing on traditional schools of thought, not modern schools of thought. If you follow a modern school of thought, that is fine. I'm not invalidating your system. But we're going to be focusing on traditional schools of thought. So I know the little dartboard or whatever, at least on my screen, is blocking. Well, now it's a brown thing, is blocking it. But up at the very, very top, it says traditional occult initiation. So keep that in mind as we go through this. It's going to be traditional, not modern. Okay, so start at the very beginning. What do we mean by initiation? What does that word mean? Because there's a lot of misconception within the occult community, in the modern occult community, on what exactly that means, right? There's notions that it's simply a social or a social / moral type of a thing, right? It's like, I don't want to pick on Freemasonry, so I'm not going to use them as an example. But it's not like, the Shriners or, the Elks or something like that, where you go through their little ritual and you don't really do much. You just hang out with other old men and drink and do charity, right? Like, it's not like that. Legitimate occult initiation is essentially the transmission of spiritual influence, right? It is a rebirth. Actually, if I recall my Latin correctly, initiato in Latin, I think, is like entrance, rebirth. Sometimes, depending on how it's used, it can mean like a regeneration. But it is a beginning. It is a start, right? This is, even though I'm not at that part yet, the secret isn't until the second page at the bottom of my notes. But one of the secrets of initiation, you know what, maybe we'll wait for that, because I don't want to say it and then it doesn't make sense in context. So we'll wait until we get to the secret part. Yes, so it is an entrance. It is a beginning. This is why a lot of occult schools, the deeper you go into the occult, you find out that the great work in a lot of schools is getting in touch with your HGA, knowledge and conversation, or KNC, with one's HGA. That is seen as an initiatic experience. However, that is only the beginning. That's where the real work starts, right? The real work starts after you go through the hero's journey, I guess, right? After you go through the initiatic process. So this is, how do I want to say this? That's sort of one of the ways that you can tell if an organization that is offering initiation is legitimate or not, right? Is if they start saying things like, or if you're on their website or you're reading their books or whatever, and, they say things like, oh, getting initiated into our group, is going to open up your psychic abilities, and you're going to get all these psychic, powers and all this other nonsense. Excuse me. That's not a hallmark of traditional initiatic experience. Psychicism is a natural part of spiritual growth, right? It's something that we all have access to. It's just some of us won't, because they don't ever study this type of stuff, and some of us will. But in terms of initiation, having your third eye open or being clairvoyant or being able to astral project or lucid dream is not anything of note. Every occultist should be able to do that to, those things to some degree. Obviously, some are better than others and things like that. But we should all have our third eye open. I'm speaking for occultists here. We should all have our third eye open. We should all be able to astral project. We should all be able to scry. We should all be able to, see and communicate with spirits. That's not a hallmark, right? So when you see these groups offering these types of I don't want to call them that because they're not, but these types of rituals and the benefits, that they're not legitimate, right? Because it doesn't work like that. How it does work, right, is outside of being essentially a transmission of spiritual influence, in entrance, a beginning of sorts. Regularity is required. And this is something that we don't see with these modern systems, with New Age systems, with chaos systems. We don't see any regularity. For them, initiation is the final point. It's the end goal. And that's not the case in traditional magic. That's the beginning. Right now, some people might say, well, what about all those years I spent until I worked up to the initiation? That was your foundation. That was your prep period, right? No different than going to, kindergarten before you go to first grade, and getting through elementary before going to middle school, and going to middle before going to high school, and going to high school before going to college. Now, yes, of course, there are exceptions. There have been, 14-year-olds getting into college, okay, but most of us don't get to go through that. We have to go through the natural progression. So without any sort of regularity, there is no entrance. There is no beginning, because that would be the end. That's not correct. True initiation is a beginning. And so if it's a beginning, that must mean that there's more after that. So your work doesn't stop after you get initiated. It's just beginning. And so that experience that you just went through should open up certain spiritual faculties that were closed off prior. And those spiritual faculties should start, how do I want to say this? It should start, I guess, aligning you with the gnosis that's supposed to come as you continue down that path. So the group that you become initiated into, their lessons and their praxis should not stop after you get through level 1 of whatever it is. For example, the coven that I came up in, there were 3 degrees that you could get through, but those 3 degrees had multiple levels within them. So it wasn't like, okay, you got through the first degree and then a year later you can get through the second degree, and then a year later you get to the third degree, and then that's it. You'd probably die before you get to the end of the third degree, because initiation is not an end point. It is a start. It is an entrance. And this is why in traditional schools it is believed that you cannot initiate yourself. You cannot rebirth yourself, or you cannot bring yourself into something that you were not originally a part of, right? Someone who is in that thing would have to bring you in. And I think a good mundane example, and I've given this before, a good mundane example is a job, right? Imagine the company is this esoteric group or this occult group that you want to join. And the initiation is the job interview, because it kind of is. You can't work there without going through that, right? You can't just walk into the company and go, I work here, give me access to, all this and all that. I need a key, I need a badge, I need, You can't, you can't do that. You have to go through the initiation process. You have to apply, and then you have to get a call back, and you got to go meet with the manager, and then maybe 2 or 3 other managers, and whatever. That's probably the best mundane way to sort of explain it, right? You can't bring yourself into something that you were never initially a part of. Now, then the logical thing would then be to ask, so then who initiated the first witch, or the first Quimbadero, or the first, voodoo song, or the first Hungan? Like, who was the... So, another hallmark of true initiation is a non-human origin. Someone can't just make something up. Looking at you, Blavatsky. Looking at you, William Walker Atkinson. Looking at you, Alice Bailey. Looking at you, Aleister Crowley. Even though he did have legitimate, access elsewhere, it should have a non-human origin, right? Someone can't just go, you know what? I think I'd like to make a cult today, and draft up some nonsense, and then go, oh, by the way, you need to be initiated to do any of this. I mean, sure, they can. No one can stop them from doing that. They can do it, but that's not a hallmark of true initiation. It needs to have a non-human origin. The spirits have to choose you, right? So that's who brought in the first witch, or the first magician, or the first shaman, or whatever, the spirits. And from the spirits, for whatever reason, that, their character, their hero, whatever the reason is, the spirits chose that person, and they gave that person the gnosis. Now, how do you know that, right? How do you know that this is not just some made-up nonsense? Well, like everything in the occult, it's repeatable, right? You don't have to just believe the shaman. You can, if you know magic, you can contact those spirits yourself and ask. And they'll probably let you know, yeah, you can't work, within this without permission. Why? Why would spirits be like that? Well, as above, so below, right? Right here. We are a mirror image of the divine. Not just humanity, everything, right? This entire world, spirits included, is a mirror image of that which is above. So, as above, so below. If there are humans that aren't going to talk to you without being introduced by someone else, especially in like the criminal world, anybody can, I'm surely you've seen movies, anybody can be a cop, anybody can be an informant. So you need to be introduced by somebody else who's well known in the criminal underworld before you can talk to so-and-so, crime lord, or so-and-so mafia leader, or whatever. You can't just walk up in there. You need to be introduced. Or like a celebrity. Certain celebs, even though you might be a C-lister, you're trying to work your way up, certain A-listers are not going to talk to you unless you come through them, through another person, or their agent, or their manager. I got no time for none of that nonsense. I need to, do this or do that. If humans are that way, why would not spirits be that way, right? As above, so below. There are going to be certain spirits that you cannot get access to. I mean, you can try to access them if you would like, but you're probably not going to like the end result. So there are certain spirits, certain praxis that you cannot get access to without receiving licentia, without going through some kind of initiatic process, right? So hopefully that answers the question of why no self-initiation. All right, let me see where we are in my notes here. Regularity, initiatic chain. I kind of already went over that, the chain. That's kind of the keeping up, like after you're done, that's not it. You need to keep going. And you're part of a group, you're part of a coven, you're part of a lodge, an order, a temple, a societe, whatever. They need to have adequate training and adequate people there who received initiation in order to continue your training. So we kind of already went over that. So even though I kind of touched on this a little bit, let's get into it a little deeper. So initiation is more than just a social or moral sort of a thing, like an order, right? There is an actual purpose to it. It's not just a gentleman's club where you just sit around, smoke cigars, and drink out, bourbon, and talk about women. It's not that. Aside from being a beginning, a rebirth, an entrance, and all that, it is permission to receive access to the lesser mysteries, right? Which some would say would lead to K and C with your HGA. But that would depend on the system that you come from. If you don't come from a Western system, that might not even be a thing. Or it might be a thing, but you might approach it differently. Like in the ATRs, I would equate the Ori, or the head spirit, to your HGA. But the method of getting your head spirit in Voodoo, for example, is way different than the method that you would get your HGA from Western ceremonial magic. And there's a couple methods, but it has nothing to, it doesn't resemble at all what we find in Voodoo. But anyway, it grants you access to these lesser mysteries. This is sort of what I was talking about earlier when I had mentioned that going through the initiatic process activates certain spiritual faculties, so that way you can be ready and prepared when the gnosis, when certain information comes. You'll not only be prepared, you'll know how to take that information and not only interpret it, but how to integrate it, right? A lot of people think that you just need to know what the symbols mean and all that, and no, that just means you studied symbols. That doesn't give you this deep esoteric knowledge. Hence, all these people on YouTube and on TikTok that make all these conspiracy videos thinking that they understand what these symbols mean, and they don't. And so people like me, who actually went through certain initiatic processes, have to make videos to correct them, because they're talking nonsense, right? Thinking, ooh, these things are all Illuminati. And wait, what? Why? According to whom? And for what? Like, how? Esoterically explain that. They can't, right? It's not just about understanding the symbolism. It's about being able to take that symbolism and not only understand it and interpret it, but also integrate it. And that is both into the mind, right? Esoterically, into your mind, and also into your life, exoterically, right? This is, even though we're not there, this is one of the secrets of initiation. Now, some people would like to say, why are you giving out the secrets? Why are you doing this live stream? This is not for the profane. This is not for people who don't understand and who haven't been through it. And I disagree, right? I don't agree with the whole pearls before swine type of a thing, especially with this sort of stuff, with the occult. Maybe with something that people can use, but like I was saying earlier, if you haven't gone through the initiation, you wouldn't understand anything that I would be, I mean, not anything, but if I were to talk about the lesser mysteries and to go into it, you wouldn't understand. You would know the words, but you wouldn't be able to articulate it and tell it back to me and surmise what I'm saying. You wouldn't be able to unless you already went through it, right? So it's not just about gaining entrance into a group. It's not just about being able to understand symbolism and knowing, what the rose cross means, and what each of the pentacles of Jupiter and Mars mean, and and what the all-seeing eye means. It's not about that. Those things are great that you have that knowledge, but if this makes sense esoterically, that's exoteric. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying there. On an esoteric level, that stuff would be surface level. That stuff would be kindergarten, first grade. Like, it's like everyone knows that you're not saying anything that is revolutionary, or you're not uncovering anything that we all don't already know. And therefore, it would not denote true initiation. So, all right. Let's see here. Okay. So initiation concerns itself with integral spiritual development, right? This is playing off what I was talking about earlier about it not being about these psychic abilities that you have, right? Or that are supposed to be opened up. Those should have already been opened up, right? Normally, when you I can't say normally. It would depend heavily on the system, the tradition, the lodge that you're going to, whatever. But there are a lot of lodges that will accept complete like people who know nothing, and they have a training period. But if you don't get through that training period, then you don't make it through the initiation, right? Training is anywhere from 1 to 2 years, depending on, most people know Wicca has the year and a day. There are some lodges, I've seen some go up to like 5 years, but generally it's between a year and 2 years. Sometimes 3 if life happens, sickness, lost your home, whatever. But there's usually a like probationary sort of like a training period to align your spiritual bodies to receive this new occult information that you previously would not have been able to integrate. And again, that's both esoterically, so in the mind, so you understand and you know what these things mean, but also exoterically, you can put it out into your life or into the world in order to see results. So when talking about the different psychic abilities and powers that people tend to get when going through these sort of processes, there tends to be a confusion or like a misalignment with psychicism and psychic states and mind states and all that other stuff with spiritual states, right? How do I want to word this? When going through an initiation, look at it like a 3-step process, right? So I wish I was doing this from a TikTok studio so I could do it. I don't know why I didn't go live on the studio, so I could do this from my PC. It'd be so much easier. I could show you images. It'd be a lot easier to explain things. Imagine 3 layers, and the first layer, no, imagine 1 layer, but there's an under it and there's an above it. Non-initiation, or non-initiates, once-borns, would be under, right? They'd be under it. As you're going through the process, you would go through it, and then you would eventually be above it. So consider this gnosis, or wisdom, or whatever you want to call it, right? You're here, and then as you go through it, then you are above it, right? That's the best way to think of spiritual states from an initiatic sort of a process. Whereas psychic states don't move that way because these are natural states. We are all naturally psychic, right? There is no having to go through anything. You have to learn how to use them, sure, but it's not something that you have to ritually go through in order to activate certain spiritual faculties in order to be able to integrate. And it's not, these are natural things that any one of us can learn how to do. Spiritual states is a different thing, right? Not everybody is, so if we're going to put it on like an Eastern spin, not everyone's going to be able to reach nirvana, right? It's something that has to be worked towards through application of initiatic knowledge, right? And you would only get that by going through legitimate systems that have a non-human origin, that have regularity, and that transmit a legitimate spiritual influence. So, all right. Before we move on, let me look at some of the... Was that the last part here? Yeah. Yes, okay. So before we move on, and then we tackle the rest of this on the back page here, let me see what's going on in the chat. I'm going to scroll up and work my way down. So let me scroll up a little here. Let me go right here. All right. I mainly practice spiritual alchemy. It's basically a more advanced form of shadow work. Very interesting. I want to start calling you Professor Mystic because it feels like I'm in a Hogwarts class. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I certainly don't feel like a professor myself, but I appreciate the compliment. If we're going to use academic analogies, I would liken myself to a guidance counselor, right? You know, or maybe you don't know where you want to go with your career, or in this case, your occult path, but you know you want to end up somewhere, right? I can help you get there. I'm not going to teach the class, but I can help you get there. Now, to be a school counselor, you would have had to already gone through college yourself. You have to, they're not hiring high school graduates to be a college counselor. You have to have, so I already went through, all of the requisites. I just don't either feel qualified to teach or don't think I'd be a good teacher. But I think I'm a good mentor. I think I'm a good coach, a good guide. And then once you got it, you don't need me anymore. Now you got it. Which is how it should be, right? You shouldn't want to consistently follow after someone. You should build your foundation, have someone, if you need it, help you build onto that foundation. But once you have the house built, you should be able to now live in it on your own. So I don't feel like a professor, but I certainly do appreciate the compliment. Thank you very much. And thank you for sharing the live stream, guys. Jesus Christ, 7K likes. Holy God. So you guys like this then? This like lecture classroom style stuff, right? Okay, so it sounds like because 7K likes, I usually only get that when I'm doing like the debates or when I'm like screaming and hollering at the New Agers. But it sounds like you guys, or it seems like you guys might like this like lecture-y classroom style streams. So I'll do these more often. Have you opened your third eye? Of course. Yes, indeed. I have videos on opening your third eye. Oh, never mind. Mine keeps trying to open, and I'm not ready. All right, never mind then. Don't watch those videos then. But when you are ready to open your third eye, I do have videos on that. Quickly though, I'll say most people would tell you when it's time to open your third eye the average is 6 months. So let's just say take 6 months to practice certain techniques and methods to open the third eye, and then take another 6 months and practice some sort of divination. I say instead, kill two birds with one stone. Right? That's the magic of it all. Right? Kill two birds with one stone. Instead of taking 6 months to do one and then 6 months to do the other, just do them both in 6 months. But I actually prefer you to not do methods to open your third eye, like all the meditations. You can if you want, but the third eye should be looked at like a spiritual muscle, right? And if we're talking about real muscles, you can read about working out and flexing and getting big muscles all day, but nothing's going to happen until you actually start going to the gym or going out back and doing push-ups or something. You got to actually start working out. You can't just will your muscles. So the third eye should be looked at the same way. You can, do all the meditations and they help, but it's best to just start working that muscle. And you work that muscle by doing divination. You're going to suck at first. It's not going to be accurate. It's going to be all over the place. If you're going to be like do scrying, you're not going to see anything the first 25 times you try. That's normal. You probably fell off your bike the first 25 times you tried to ride a bike. If you're a surfer, I'm sure you fell off the surfboard the first couple. I'm sure when you first learned to play the piano, you played wrong keys for the first several times. But eventually, you kept at it, and you got it, right? Magic is no different. I know Hollywood wants us to think that you just got to read the ancient Latin in the spell book and boom, the magic happens. But no, it's a spiritual practice. Like anything else, you got to work at it. So I recommend doing divination. Start reading tarot cards. Start throwing bones. Start throwing runes. Start casting Owam. Start, throwing I Ching. Whatever. Pick your system, or excuse me, pick your divination technique and just start doing it. And yes, at first you're not going to be accurate. It's going to suck, but over time you're going to get better. And while you're learning to do that divination system, guess what else you're doing? You're working that third eye. The reason that your readings are going to be inaccurate at first is because your third eye is not open. You got to open it first. That's what we're doing. So when you're reading those tarot cards, yes, the first 12 times it was wrong, but each time your third eye opened just a little more until eventually it's open and it's blinking and it's looking around and it's, obviously, that's not what's happening, but you get the metaphor. And then you'll be apt to accurate divinations. You'll be apt to more effective and reliable astral projections, lucid dreams, gate walking. You'll be able to see and hear spirits. You'll be able to communicate with spirits. And so that would be my advice. But also check out the videos that I have where I actually give you techniques to do those things. So yeah. Good evening. Hey, what's up, Rear Naked Choke? What's up? I died. That was fun. What do you mean you died? Don't die. Stay here with us. I can summon you back. I'm kidding. You can't hit what you can't see. You're right. Exactly. Hey, what's up, Aziel? How are ya? What do you mean I can't just make something up? You can, Aziel. I give you permission. You can make something up. Just you. No one else. Because I am the Grand Arch Chancellor, Pope Poobah, Demiurge of the Occult. So I give you permission. Last night I woke up, passed out, and fell on my face, broke my nose. Jesus, what the hell? What happened? How'd you do that? How'd you wake up, then you passed out, and fell on your... Okay, so, I'm assuming here, but unless you tripped and fell, which I'm guessing you would have said, it sounds like it might be like a medical thing. So if you don't want to tell us, you don't have to. But what happened? You're obviously okay because you're here. So thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here, and glad that you are okay. You're okay, man. Survived out there. That's right. And thank you for being here. I think I would make an absolutely amazing cult leader. I have all the credentials. Well, I think I make a good leader, but I don't think I'd make a good leader of a cult. Because I don't want to, I care about people. I don't want to control anybody. I don't want to beat people. I don't want to take your wives. Now, if they want to, I'm not going to stop them, but I'm not there to take them and, all that nonsense. I'm not there to, do all, whatever else. I'm not there to isolate you from your family and all that weird stuff. You can go home at the end of the lessons because I don't want to see you anymore. So you should probably leave. No, I'm kidding. But I don't have the balls to be a cult leader. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't make it. I would make it. I'd make it all fair and everyone would have rights and what? What kind of cult is that? So I won't even make Kool-Aid. It will be fine. Yeah, I'll make all my cult members wear the same sneakers. You know what? That's a little morbid. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Non-human origin, like the creator? Yeah, like the creator. If it would mirror, there would be a lot of people on top. Nice analogy, though. This has been my experience as well. Well, welcome. I'm going to mispronounce this. Vico Davin Deepson. I think I got the last two right, but I probably pronounced your first name wrong. Vaco. What are your thoughts on dragon magic and dragons? Do you mean like draconic magic, like Thomas Carlson? I don't have any issue with that. Dragon magic. I'm not sure what you mean. But dragons, so they exist on the astral, sure. That would be about the extent of it, right? They are on the astral plane. But I'm not going to, say that there's dragons in real life. Yes, Benji Comics, astral dragons, exactly. Spirit guides and ascended masters teach profound knowledge in a higher realm. So that sounds very new agey, which I don't promote here. I actually make content against the new age, but that's a very interesting perspective. I'm not going to do what I would normally do because tonight's live stream is not about that. I usually would spend the next 20 minutes explaining why that is an incorrect take, but you know what? Tonight is about initiation, and I don't want to get banned either because I usually get banned when I start, ranting about the new age. So, what other methods beside Abramelin OP is there in Western tradition? There's Agrippa's method in the 3 books of occult philosophy. The 4th book of occult philosophy. No. Yeah, it's in the 3 books. It's in either book 2 or book 3. It would either be in the celestial world or the divine world. You know what? I have them. We can take a look. Yeah, there's Agrippa's method of using your nativity chart and, finding that. I believe it's in one of the 3, but it's definitely Agrippa. It's either in his 3 books or his 4. Well, he didn't write the 4th book. It's in either his 3 books or the pseudo-epigraphical 4th book. All right, if it was going to be in book 1, it would probably be over in this area. Okay. Just give me 1 second, guys. All right, so it's not book 1. So let's see book 2. Okay, yeah, so it's got to be around here. Here we go. Jeez. So, book 3, it's going to be chapter 26 of finding the names and spirits of finding the names of spirits and one's genius from the disposition of the celestial bodies. So, book 3, chapter 26. Right there with my finger. Chapter 26. So, there's Agrippa's method of finding your holy guardian angel. Michael Chittatelli has a method Frater Acker has a method. No, wait. I'm getting some of these Frater. The guy who wrote Holy Daemon, was that Acker or Brian Chasson, Frater Ashen Chasson? Whoever wrote Holy Daemon has a method. Jason Miller has a method. Rufus Opus has a method, but his is really Trithemian, so I don't think that counts. Yeah, I would look into Holy Daemon by, I think that's by Frater Chasson, by Brian Ashen Chasson. Check out that, and check out Michael Cittitelli's Holy Guardian Angel. And that should help you get into the magic. Can some things be your birthright? What do you mean, be your birthright? What do you mean by that? Like magic? Is magic your birthright? I don't know if it's your birthright. I mean, okay, so in Western traditions, I can see how people could think of it as your birthright, because most Western systems are built on a Judeo-Christian framework, and so therefore you are made in the image of God. And if God has a will and his will be done, and we are made in his image, and God can exercise his will over his creation, well, almost all the holy books say, in the Abrahamic systems, say that he gave man dominion over the world. So while we don't have any control over space and the cosmos and all that, we have dominion over. So if God can exercise his will over his dominion, and he gave us dominion here, and we are little gods in the sense that we remain in his image, then we should be able to exercise our will over our dominion. So in that regard, I could see magic being considered a birthright. But I don't know much about Eastern systems, so I don't know if they would look at it the same. I don't know. I don't know that much about like African systems and their cosmology. I know about their like the practical things, the doing of the thing, but I don't really understand the esotericism of like a lot of ATR and ADR systems. So I don't know if they would see it as like a birthright. I don't know. So I guess it just depends. The knowledge is supposed to make people suitable for the practices in the first place. That is correct. That's why I was talking about some of the how some groups have like a training period or like a preliminary trial period where they try to orient you to be receptive, not in the accepting way, like you just like accept anything that's told to you, but receptive in a esoteric way. Again, it has to be in the mind, and then you also have to be able to integrate it to express it outwards. Spreading knowledge should never be forbidden. I agree. What is the significance of Horus in the occult? I'm not sure. I don't practice any kind of Egyptian, or at least a pure Egyptian system. Opinions on Rene Guénon and perennialist philosophy. Well, I'm not really a fan of what I call like total perennialism. I like Rene Guénon. Would you consider him a perennialist though? But anyway, I do like him. I have a few of his books. Since we're talking tonight about initiation, Perspectives on Initiation is really, really good. Perspectives on Insights on Esoteric Christianity is really good. Reviews is okay. He's written quite a bit. But I don't have a problem with him. I like his work. But perennialism, I'm not so sold on. I can see some aspects of perennialism. For example, since we're talking about the occult, most, not all, but most occult systems come from the same source, and that's shamanism, right? They're born out of shamanic practices. Almost all folk practices come from shamanism. Almost all how do I want to word this? Because it's not ceremonial in the way of Western ceremonial magic, but it is very ceremonial, like druidism, like I guess high folk magic. I don't know another word to distinguish it from like the ceremonialism of like the Golden Dawn or the OTO from what Druids would do, or what the damn, I forgot what they're called, but the shamans of Odin. He had a secret shamanic cult. They were like shamanic warriors. They practiced like shapeshifting and all that other stuff. I forget. Damn. I forget what they were called. It's been a while since I read anything by Shani Oates, who's fantastic if you're interested in Norse stuff. But anyway, yeah, sorry. I tend to go off one. But yeah, I don't have a problem with Renee Guénon. But I don't know if I would say I agree totally with perennialism. I do see it in some aspects, but then there are things that don't come from shamanism and really don't resemble any sort of other system that we can find that came prior. So I'm 42 and was initiated over 20 years ago. Been in covens and had a high priestess. Awesome, stranger. And you're 42. Wow, I thought you were like 25, 27 at the oldest. Wow. Dude is spitting. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
When that happened to me, I didn't like seeing the future. It was always a warning of what happened. I'm glad it's gone. Yeah, some people don't like it. Good evening, Rebel. Hey, what's going on, Issa? What's up? I practice Reiki. That's cool. Do you also practice Tumo along with it? Ooh. Okay, so Counselor Mystic. Counselor Mystic. I want to be friends forever. I like your brain. Well, thank you very much. I like my brain too. Is it okay to have certain sigils tattooed on your body, like some alchemist symbols? If you understand what those symbols mean, and you're okay with what that could potentially manifest in your life, then I say go for it. But don't be like the people who, they get something written in like Chinese or something, and, the tattoo artist has no idea how to speak Chinese, and so they're just writing some random nonsense, and then a Chinese person sees it and they go, why do you have ugly butt dog written on your arm? And they're like, no, it means live, laugh, love. And they're like, no, means ugly butt dog, so what are you talking about? So just don't be like that, and make sure you have a thorough understanding of what you're getting tattooed onto you. I appreciate the honesty. Shaking my head. Others make it seem like it's instant. Well, that's what I do here. I am here to show you that the occult isn't this spooky, weird, Doctor Strange nonsense, and to help people build a solid foundation on which they can build their practice. So, your third eye is like your spiritual muscle, like doing push-ups. Exactly. I miss my cards. Hey, thank you, Una Astaton. I don't know what that. Una Seaton. I don't know. But thank you for the roses. Thank you for the roses. Thank you for the glizzies. No, just kidding. But you said you missed your cards. What was I going to say? Buy some. Go on Amazon or go to your local. I mean, even Barnes & Noble sells them, both in the occult section and at least at the one I go to. When you go up to the cash register, they have, like little extra little things like bookmarks and stuff, like little mini calendars. And on that little spinny thingy, they have like little mini tarot decks for like $7. So even if you don't want to spend like the $20, $30, whatever for, these, giant decks, well, not giant, but normal size, or even giant. Like I have this one deck here, Serpent Icons, and the cards are big. They're like long like this. Like, see how long they are? So, like, these are compared to a regular size tarot deck, like the Hermetic deck here. Let me put these side by side so you guys can see. So, or I'll just use one card so that way we. All right, so this is the Serpent Icons, and this is the Hermetic deck. Like, I'm not making one bigger than the other. So, yeah, these cards are pretty big. So they can be big, but they also have the smaller ones. But if you're like me and you're into like artisanal decks, then these weird and obscure ones are a must. The dreams that Serpent Icons induces, insane. But anyway, summon you back, silly rebel. As with mathematics, do you think magic is discovered or invented? I would say it is discovered, or not discovered, given. It was given to us. I tripped a couple weeks ago. I still feel like a ghost swept me under my feet because it made no sense. Well, I'm sorry that you tripped. I hope you're okay. And yeah, I do also get those sort of things where like I don't understand how this happened or whatever. Like I swear I left something over here and now it's over there, or you know. No, sir, dragons are real, not dinosaurs. Ah, okay. Aren't ascended masters like theosophical, albeit source of the New Age? Yes, they come from theosophy. I mean, there are other, like Eastern systems that talk about them, but yes, they were made popular here in the West through theosophy, which I am not a fan of. Not a fan of Blavatsky or theosophy or any of the what I call the conspiracy big three. So Blavatsky, Bailey, and Crowley. Of course, you can add Manly P. Hall in there as well. But Manly P. Hall, it's not that I don't like him. I actually like him and his writings. It's I don't like how the conspiracy theorists like try to like put his work as like some Summa Theologica of the occult or something like that. And it's like, it's not. So how do you find out about legit initiation? Not sure what to, or wait, not sure to what, but I mean legitimate. You'd have to find a group. You wouldn't be able to bring yourself into anything. You'd have to find a group that is offering it. Bro is exoteric maxing. We were just reading those books with Quinn. Yes, yep. Quinn and I are doing our reading of the 3 books of occult philosophy, but we're not going to get to that part. Like, it's going to be a long time. So I'm going to talk to him about maybe like after like a month or so of reading through it, maybe take a break and do another grimoire, because we're going to be reading the 3 books of occult philosophy for like over a year. And I'm pretty sure you guys are going to eventually get like a little bored of that and want, something fresh. So I'm going to see if we can take like a little break from the 3 books, and then, I don't know, do something small, nothing crazy. Like the other day, it's available on my YouTube for those who didn't see it and you want to see it. Like a week ago, I did that live stream where we analyzed the grimoire of the spirit, the grimoire to conjure the spirit of a place, the 18th century French, 18th century, yes, French grimoire. And we did that in one stream, right? We did that in one live stream. We read through the entire thing. I analyzed through that, like line by line through that entire thing. And it was great. So, wait, what the hell is that? Oh, nice. Sorry. I got a message. But, yeah, I think I'm going to talk to him about seeing if we can, because we're going to be in the 3 books for a while. And I don't want people to get bored and like, oh, this book again. We've been reading this book for 6 months. So I'm looking for wizardry, mage, ambient music. I like a guy on YouTube called Magic in Music. If you type in MAGICK and then space IN, and then music is MUSICK. So Magic in Music, and he makes, or I don't know if it's a he, they make some very awesome occult related music. So you cite that book so much, I'm surprised you don't have tabs to immediately open to. Yeah, I do have tabs, but it's for stuff that I'm interested in, not like quick topics to like talk about. Or it's like stuff that I reference a lot. Like if I'm constantly forgetting, a certain whatever, then I'll put a mark in there. Like all my books. Western Magic, Hermeticism, Witchcraft, Sigil, Study, Agrippa's books. Yes. Do you think that the witch chooses magic or does magic choose the witch? I think that everyone has the capability of doing magic. I just don't think that everyone will do magic. So I think we're all born with the natural ability to do it. We just have to learn how to hone it. So I think there's no choice in it. The choice is to get better at it. I think we all can do it. You just choose to actively become proficient. I don't know how to say. So. Do you believe that Crowley's Book of the Law is of non-human origin? Why or why not? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough about Crowley's like his actual ritual process that he used in order to make a. I will say I don't believe the whole lamb thing. I don't know. I there's a lot. I don't want to get into conspiracy. I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know. I'm not as versed on Crowley's personal practice in order to give an accurate assessment of the Book of the Law. Also, I don't study Thelema or anything like that. Lucifer, Pyman, Santa Muerte, Asmodeus, Valfor, Bune, Klonek, etc. I just look young, I'm pale, and had no sun damage, and curse with a baby face. I'm gonna be like Miss Ariana Grande. What the heck was that? Oh, okay. Going to be like Ms. Ariana Grande. Valak from the Nun is a small boy with angel wings riding a two-headed dragon, a president of hell. Yeah, I mean, that's, proof that the writers and the director do their research, and they have people come onto, I know it's, okay, don't do it after the movie, because that's boring. Go on IMDb, look up your, favorite horror movie that had, real witchcraft elements in it, and look it up on IMDb and look through the credits. You'll find the consultant. I promise you, you'll find the consultant. So that's why I don't believe, like, when I ask questions like I did earlier at the very beginning, like, why don't occultists get a seat at the table when it comes to these mainstream shows and they talk about occultism? And some people want to say, oh, well, maybe the host of the show or the producers don't know. That's bullcrap. They know. But I think it's because real magic is not entertaining. It's not fun. It's not entertaining. It's actually, in a lot of respects, very dry and boring. The practice of it is fine, but the learning and all that other stuff, it can be very dry and boring and dull, especially if you're not getting any results. And so that doesn't sell. That doesn't. People aren't going to watch that. Advertisers aren't going to want to put ads on that. So. You need something to sell, and what sells is ghost hunting and all that dumb stuff. So I don't know. Rebel, no, don't go AI on us. I beg you. What do you mean? You don't want me to make $50,000 a day just by sucking glizzies on TikTok? The Ars Goetia. The glizzy dude is so freaking funny. Yeah. Yeah, they're all yeah. Like all the dudes that I see doing it are like the girls doing it are trying to be like sexy. And so okay, that's fine. But like the guys doing it, they're really like making their own little niche with because they're doing comedy with it. Like they're not trying to be cool and ooh, look at him. You know, they're like it's funny. It's funny. I do wonder though, that Spider-Man kid, the one, you know, the Miles Morales looking guy. He's probably the best, like the best acted out of them all. But he does his in the mall, and if you look behind him, you can see outside, and it's always like nighttime, and there's never anybody walking behind him. Like so, how does he get access to the mall like after like eventually the mall closes and you can't get in there, so even if he worked there, there would have to be a point where he would have to leave, right? Like you can't just do, I mean, unless you're friends with the security guard or something like that, you can't just do your, I would know, I used to work at my local mall when I was younger, so you know, once we got done cleaning up the store and putting away all the clothes and stuff like that, we had to leave. Can't just hang out in the mall. Like, what? So, I wonder how he's able to like be there. I mean, maybe he has a parent. Like maybe his parent or something is like the manager, like the general manager of the mall or of the security guard or something like that. I don't know. But I do wonder how he's able to get into the mall after dark. I would love a demonic deck or a hermeticist deck. Well, this is the Hermetic Tarot. Now, this is based on the Golden Dawn, so it's not classical, but you can get this on Amazon for, is the price on here like it is on books? No. But it's, I mean, I didn't pay any more than $20 for it. No, it's not on there. I thought it would be like books, how books have the price on the back at the bottom, like on the cover, not on like the sticker, but on the actual back cover. So, what is divination? Ooh, excuse me. It can mean many things, but in most contexts, it is using a medium or a device in order to receive information about events that are either happening now, have happened, or will happen. So, from my experience, the method of self-initiation in the Cicero's book works. My results have been very similar to those who went through a traditional temple. So yeah, so there's nothing wrong with going through the Cicero's, but just know that that version of the Golden Dawn is not the Golden Dawn that, you know, Crowley was, you know, kicked out of, and it's not, you know, like it's not the same. So while there are going to be similar results, it may not be the exact same thing that like Mathers and Crowley and Yates and all those people went through. It doesn't make it any less valid, just not the same. If I'm using money from northern India, should I gift Druid? What does that mean? I'm not sure what you mean there, B Quicks. And welcome. Glad to have you in the stream. But yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm looking forward to all this learning. You're so helpful. It eases my brain with Hermetic principles. Well, thank you very much. But because of the 3 months of working with Theme, who speaks on your behalf when doing the initiations. Okay. The principles put me at ease and a breath of fresh air. Well, I'm glad they help you. Did you pay to be initiated? No, I did not. I generally only see that in like actual lodges or like ATR ADR groups. I don't really see that with like covens or anything like that. It's generally only like a lodge thing or ATR groups. I did not, no. No way. Agrippa is an outstanding, intelligent man. His work is so helpful and important for us. I agree. But also, don't neglect the others, right? Like, don't neglect, Trithemius. Don't neglect Giordano Bruno. Don't neglect, Ficino. Don't neglect Roger Bacon. Don't neglect Jacques Ohori. Don't, you know, yeah. There's a lot out there that can supplement the work and also stand equally next to Agrippa. After 30 years, I'm still researching. Oh yeah, yeah. There's never going to be an end. I mean, now there's a place where you can choose to end, but there's never going to be I've gone through the totality of the occult. That's impossible. Many do magic unintentionally in their day to day. That's very true. Oops, didn't mean to move that. That's very true. Is it possible to do magic unintentionally, uncontrollably, like the baby from Incredibles? Well, I've never seen Incredibles, so I don't know what you're referencing there. It's possible to do magic unintentionally, but not uncontrollably. No, there's no way like it gets out of control or anything like that. At least not on purpose, not without you actively doing magic and just not knowing what you're doing. But you're not just going to unintentionally do magic and then it gets out of control. That's not gonna happen. I have a portrait I did of Valax. She's beautiful. That's awesome. I didn't know that you do artwork. I'd like to see your work sometime. I'm working from the mom. I'm working on the mom from Evil Dead Rise and then ARR the Clown. Well, I've never seen any of the Evil Dead, so I don't know who that is, and I'm not sure who ARR or R the Clown is. I'm not familiar with that either. I'm sorry. No glizzies for you. Black Phillip is my spirit animal. I thought The Witch was a fantastic film. Fantastic. Like, even the occult conspiracy theorists who try to that was Anya Taylor-Joy's initiation, that was her way in, even they admit, but the film was great. Like, they'll give all their, conspiracy stuff, and then they'll go, but also know that the film is really good. And I'm like, so is it an evil film or not? What are you saying? Does God approve or not? So, but yes, that Robert Eggers did a fantastic job with that film. And keeping it to what, 2, maybe 3 sets. I mean, you generally only see that in a bigger budget from a director like Tarantino or something, like a Hateful Eight style. But he made it work. He also did The Lighthouse, which was great. There was one movie that he did that I didn't care for. What was that movie? Hold on. Because he hasn't done many. He's only done 3 or 4 movies. Robert Eggers. Let's see what he did. Where's your filmography, my friend? The Northman. I thought it was well acted. I did not care for the story so much. And Nosferatu, I can't wait to see that. The Witch was great. The Lighthouse was great. The Northman, I think a lot of people felt the same because it didn't do well box office wise. So, let's go to Box Office Mojo and see what The Northman did box office wise. I don't even think it cracked 100, if I'm being honest with you. Well, worldwide it probably did, but in the but in the U.S. I don't think it cracked 100. Let's see. Ooh, not even worldwide. Jesus Christ! It only did 69 million total. America and the world. Wow. No way. I was expecting to see 150, 175, maybe 2. I don't think it would have gotten above 200. But geez, only 69 million? On a budget of what? $90 million? Alright. 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 The Occult Tarot is an excellent tarot deck by Travis McHenry. The Occult Tarot, okay. I think I've heard of his name. I wasn't familiar with him, but okay. The Occult Tarot, thank you. My phone's about to die. Let me plug in my charger. I'm about to go around and get it. Who's your favorite rapper? My favorite rapper, like of all time, or because I think Lil Wayne and Jay-Z are probably tied as like the greatest of all time. But my favorite rapper, I'd probably say, I'm gonna say Rick Ross. I like Rick Ross. I love catching you. Hey Robert, how are you? I'm a big Rick Ross fan. And not just his raps, like his business acumen is, I mean, insane. Not many rappers get to do what he's been able to do. I mean, 50 Cent, I don't really consider Dre and Diddy rappers, but I guess we can throw them in there. Not like there's a short list. Jay-Z, there's like a short list of like rappers who get to ascend above rap and also succeed in non-music related business. For 50 to be able to transition to film and TV and liquor the way he has, the way Rick Ross has been able to translate into liquor and franchises of wing stops and car washes and a bunch of other restaurants and hotels and stuff like that. I mean, he owns the largest house in Georgia. Like, I think Coming to America 2, his house was used as the set for Africa. Like, that's how big his house is. Like, they used it as the set because it would have been too expensive to fly everyone out to Africa and film there. So they used Rick Ross's house. New to this, I've watched before. My question is, does divination work? Is it real? Yes, it works. Yes, it's real. Your third eye must be open, but yes, it works. Initiation is a death experience. Yes, yep. It is it's a death of the old life and a rebirth into a new life, an esoteric life. Are you familiar with Dean Radin's work? What do you think about parapsychology research? So I've heard Dean Radin's name. I'm not really familiar with his work. I think I've seen him or seen someone who's familiar with his work on like Joe Rogan or something like that one time. But I'm not really familiar with him. As for parapsychology, I use the Journal of Parapsychology from academia.edu. And they have some awesome articles and some awesome papers and theses that have been written from the people from within. So I mean, I don't know so much about parapsychology as a whole, like as a subject, but I don't mind the Parapsychology Journal or the Journal of Parapsychology or whatever it's called. Let me see what it's called. Let me see what it's called. Sorry, not parapsychology. It's para-anthropology. I apologize. So it's the Journal of Anthropological Approaches to the Paranormal, or the Journal of Para-anthropology. I apologize, not parapsychology, para-anthropology. That's the journal that I read. Sorry, apologies. Yeah. And like, so for this one, when was this one posted? 7 days ago. And it's got almost 1,000 reads. It's got the history of Carlos Castaneda's controversial methodological influences. It has the anomalous anthropologist or the field experience as an insider anthropologist and medium, an experiential paradigm for the anthropology of consciousness, ethnographic encounters with the paranormal, Gansfield experiences in the laboratory. When researchers become eyewitnesses to the anomalous, should seeing be believing? I like these types of things because even though they're talking about new age or paranormal type stuff, they're approaching it from a very scientific perspective to see if there's any validity to any of these things. I'm getting into Trithemius. Go slow on me, Rebel. Well, it's good that you're getting into him. How did you get initiated? I was part of a coven. Art from the Terrifier and mommies with the maggots now. I'm not. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I don't. I've never seen. I think that's earlier you were talking about Evil Dead, right? Yeah, I've never seen any of the Evil Deads, so I don't know any of those references. I'm sorry. That redheaded girl, the picked for Evil Dead Rise, has amazing red hair. I'm not sure who that is. I'm sorry. I've not seen it. Were there any occult stuff in the Avatar movie? Not that I remember. I mean, I'm sure their like their religion is very African. It's very ATR. What were they called? The Navi or something like that. And they worship the Awa or whatever. That was very ATR. But I don't recall like any magic. Like spells and rituals or like any sort of esotericism. I'm sure there might be something hidden in there, but I don't recall it off the top of my head. I'd have to rewatch and like be actively looking for certain things. The Witch is top tier, 100%. And I mean, for someone's first film, like their first real, because it wasn't his first film. He's done other things, but that was his first feature. Like his first, like, you are the writer, you are the director, you're the producer. It's in your hands. If it fails, it's your fault. If it's great, it's your fault. That was his first. And for it to be what it was for your first is fantastic. So. The Witch is a favorite, and that girl in it, she's beautiful. I love her as an actress. Yeah, she's a pretty good actress. From what I hear, she's not so nice in real life. I have cousins that work out in a law firm in Hollywood and a PR firm in Hollywood, so I get some dirt from time to time. And I hear that she's not a nice person, like in real life, but... Who created the Earth? Well, I'm a Hermeticist, so from a Hermetic perspective, it would have been the workman or the craftsman, with the Gnostics confused for the demiurge. So, how the Northman story is based on Hamlet. Hamlet is a classic. I didn't know that. I don't know, but yeah, I did not enjoy it. I did not enjoy it. What are you doing for the full moon? I don't really do SBATs anymore. I haven't done SBAT stuff unless there's been a need for something to be done. I haven't really done SBAT stuff in like 8 years. So nothing. I don't have any immediate needs for anything. So I don't have anything to celebrate the full moon. Like if like to like do on the full moon. Yeah, I don't have anything planned. Rose. That's right. Have you talked about Young Thug's case? No. This is not a entertainment live stream. This is an occult live stream. His book is good. Whose book is good? What book are we talking about? The Blue Moon is coming in 2 days. What are you going to do? Nothing. I have nothing planned. Nothing at all. Did you see my Ghost Main rapper comment? No, I did not. I read every comment, and I don't remember a Ghost Main. Well, I read every comment that wasn't to someone else. So when you guys are adding each other, I don't read those because that's obviously not for me. You're talking to each other. But the ones that are just statements or questions, then I read all those. I'm scrolling up here. I don't see anything about. What was his name? Charlemagne? Trapmaine? What did you say his name was? But yeah, I don't see anything. I'm way back up here now where corporate hermeticist says, I know that but even if I went to the Sister Temple, it wouldn't be the same as the OG. Oh, here it is. I like Ghostman because he raps about John D and Thelema and speaking to Hermes alone. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I don't know about a Ghostman. I've never heard of Ghostman. All right, let me scroll back down here. I've seen a variety of things said, but what do you say opens the third eye? So you can do, if you want, the meditations and, all the different little methods that people have to help open your third eye. But earlier, someone else had asked about opening the third eye, and I told them to essentially treat it like a muscle and start working it by doing divination. So rather than taking 6 months to learn how to open the third eye and then another 6 months or more to learn a divinatory system, why not just do the divination stuff now and forget, the methodology, forget the meditation and focusing on, the center of your eye and feel the, stop all that and just start doing divination. That'll work that muscle and force your third eye open over time. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be the first time you open up your tarot deck. It could take you 6 months. It could take you a year. But imagine the time you saved without having to do them separately. So I guess I'm going to have to send you the links on Discord. I want you to hear his rap on Hermes and John D. Okay. And when he says he hates Anton LaVey for being the reason edgy MFers are a thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't really care for Anton LaVey either. And edgelords are a big reason. Also, atheistic Satanism is a weird thing. It doesn't make any sense. To me, it's illogical. Just be an atheist. But that's not what this starts with. So, okay, we'll put Evil Dead Rise on the list for some serious badass demon action like no other. Do you have any familiars? Yes, I have one. One familiar. Opinions on the secret history of the world. The secret history of the world. Is that New Age book by that Swerdlow guy? That book? That's called The Secret History of the World, right? Hold on. I have that book. Let me go to my New Age and Paranormal folder. Oh, sorry. No, wrong guy. His book is called The True World History of Humanity Saga by Stuart Swerdlow. Okay, wrong book. Sorry. I thought that's the book you were talking about. Okay. I've not heard of The Secret History of the World. I thought you were talking about The True History of Humanity Saga. Sorry. Do you have any esoteric wisdom, not just knowledge from books, like from personal experience? Yes, most of what I talk about is from personal experience. And then I mix in, how do I want to say this, like backup or receipts from books. So that way you don't have to believe me. You can find it out in books. I'm theistic satanic. Nice. Yeah, that's the only Satanism that I can see being of any validity. Is it dangerous to practice divination to open your third eye? Do you need protection? No. Is your familiar a cat or a dog? Just curious. It's neither. Not a cat or a dog. Couldn't handle and backed out 20 minutes in. Couldn't handle what? What were you doing that you weren't able to handle it? Smiley face. Well, I'm glad you're happy, E. Burns. I'm glad you're happy. Excuse me. All right. I did want to get back to the next part of the initiation talk, but I'm only going to be in here for another 15 minutes, and I don't know if we can get through all of this in 15 minutes. I doubt it because of the way I talk. Yeah, no, there's not going to be a way we can get through this in 15 minutes. As I'm reading this, I'm already thinking of like extra things that need to be said. Yeah. We can probably save it for the next stream. My spirit was leaving and I backed out. During divination? Or are you talking about something else? Because I think Amy was asking about divination. Your spirit was leaving during divination? Can occultism be weaponized for military purposes like what the CIA tried to do with Stargate Project? No. That's all conspiracy nonsense. No. Why would you need to weaponize occultism when you can press a button and destroy your enemy, with technology? No need to be an occultist. My body couldn't handle the feeling of it leaving. It was too strong. That's interesting that your spirit was leaving during divination. Can you please answer my question? What question, Bradley? I'm scrolling up here. The only thing I see is you telling Strange Girl Bone Collector true. And then before that, you said how the Northman story is based on Hamlet. Hamlet's a classic. I answered that. I said, oh, wow. I didn't know that it was based on Hamlet. Before that, you said who created the Earth. I went to a deep explanation on that about it being the craftsman from Hermeticism and how the Gnostics get them confused. So unless you're just not listening or you asked a question like a long time ago, I answered all the questions that you've put forth recently. So not sure what question you're talking about. This question. What question? Are you trolling? What question? You have arrows pointing up, but the thing above you is Mage and Bougie responding to user 0478592321. If so, that CIA money would be helpful. So, what are you talking about? No, sorry. Okay, what question? Like a curse of mass destruction? Yeah, there would be no need for that. We already have weapons that can do that. Like that's why it's ridiculous to think that rich people like world leaders are in the occult for control. They don't need that. They have control of the government. They don't need magic. They have control of companies and governments, and magic would not help them at all. They already have ultimate control. So it wouldn't. The military would have no need for magic. Do you theorize that pregnant women are spiritually sensitive? I actually don't know. I've never thought about that. I've never gotten a girl pregnant, to my knowledge. So I don't know anything about that. I've never really looked into pregnant women and spirituality or like energy work or anything. Do you believe in astral travel? Of course. Why haven't you answered the question I forgot to ask? You're right. It's my fault. I forgot to answer the question you forgot to ask. Okay, you're talking to Amy. to my knowledge, to your knowledge, what? Have you ever heard of the Thule Society? Yes, I have heard of them. I don't think I'm familiar with what they believe or practice, but I have heard of them. Isn't that German thing? The German group? My sister and I saw a large creature in our house as kids. Our mom was there, but says she never saw. To this day, we talk about what we saw. Well, what did you see? What kind of creature? I ask because I've seen and felt some stuff while pregnant. This is my second and final kid. Well, yeah, I mean, I would look into that. I probably wouldn't be the best person to ask since I'm a male. I'd probably talk to a female occultist who has gone through pregnancy to see if maybe they have some insight there. I'm sorry, I wouldn't know. I don't know. I only know the name. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I've heard of them, but I don't really recall anything about them. Does anyone else know anything about the Thule Society? Yeah. Hopefully somebody in the chat can help you out. It resembled a beetle, but it was the size of a basketball, pitch black. Interesting. Did you ever see it again? Like after that? Have you seen it in your dreams, or if you practice magic, have you seen it during like astral projections or lucid dreaming, which should not be confused with dreaming, or anything like that? Since spirits can bind to an object of energy, has it ever been done with plants? Plants have spirits already in them. They have natural spirits, or that doesn't make any sense. They have spirits naturally part of them, since they are living. They are living beings, plants. So they are spirits already affiliated with them. Like a popular plant spirit to work with is mandrake, the spirits of mandrake. They are popular within traditional witchcraft. Datura is also a popular plant, and the spirits. And of course, you got like sage and all that. But some people don't like the use of sage, so. I don't know of occult practices. I astral traveled when younger, and I seen visions. How? Well, I would have to know the methodology that you used. Without knowing that, I don't mean to be mean. I'm going to say that it probably was not an astral projection. You could have been dreaming. You could have been lucid dreaming, which you don't have to have any magical practice to know how to lucid dream. Anybody can learn how to do that without magic. But so I would need more information. I can't just go off of I did this when I was a kid. How? I would need more information, or else it would just be speculation. Is the third eye a thing in occultism? Yes. Elementals and plants. Well, not the elementals. They have their own plant kingdom, and there are spirits associated with that. Daniel Skulke of Three Hands Press and that tradition of traditional witchcraft has some books on plant magic and the use of spirits in plant magic. I think it's Shani Oates, but it could be another popular female artist. But I think it's Shani Oates. Has another one from Anathema. Don't get me lying, but I think it's Anathema publishing on plant spirits and working with them. Carlos Castaneda has a couple of books on plant spirits, but a lot of people don't like him. So, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, there are spirits in plants. Nope, never saw it again. My sister and I are still confused. I've always been drawn to the occult. Well, I would probably look into maybe symbolism. If you've never seen it again, it probably has no spiritual significance. Anything of spiritual significance tends to show itself multiple times until you understand, or you acknowledge and then integrate or whatever. It seems like it was just like a symbol or a sign for something. So I would probably look into like correspondences. You said it was a giant black beetle. I would just look into beetles. There are entire books that are nothing but correspondences, like the Book of Occult Correspondences. You can start there. You can use like occult encyclopedias, like the Encyclopedia of Occultism and Parapsychology. There's the Magic and Alchemy Encyclopedia. There's the Encyclopedia of Alchemical Symbols, the Dream Book Encyclopedia. You can look through all these and see what the associations of with beetles are, and go from there. That's what I would say. Because if it didn't reappear, it probably doesn't have any spiritual significance. That doesn't mean it's not important. It just means it's not spiritual. It might be metaphorical. It might be analogical. It might be, symbolic. Those things tend to only show themselves once and during, or not once, but seldom. And it's usually during times of great emotional state. And that could be great ecstasy, or it could be great depression and pain. So it could be mania, or it can be, dementia. That's my assessment. So, oh, Datura sends you on an astral ride. Yes, it does. That's why I use it for my flying ointments. I had a dream that I met myself in another universe. I felt sand and smelt the food. Can dreams connect you from your alternate you from a different universe? I believe so, yes. I do believe so. That's why they feel so real. I don't know if I would go this far. Some people say that, like, when you're dreaming, not lucid dreaming, but when you're in a real dream, like a traditional dream, not a real dream, that doesn't make any sense. But like when you're in a traditional dream, and it's one of those where like it feel like it takes place in like your like the world, and it feels real. There are people out there who say that you're astral projecting to another timeline or whatever. I don't know if I would go that far, but yes, I do agree with that. Maybe lucid dreaming then, visions, though I would have seen it in a dream and know things. Yeah, so that is certainly possible. But again, I would need to know more information. How was the third eye regarded and worked with in occultism? Well, it is pretty important. Without it being open, you wouldn't be able to communicate with spirits. You wouldn't be able to astral project, lucid dream. Well, you can lucid dream, but you wouldn't be able to astral project. You wouldn't be able to gate walk. You wouldn't be able to accurately do any kind of divination, maybe except like cowrie shells and I Ching, things that have predefined meanings for predefined layouts. Other than that, you wouldn't be able to really get far. By the way, alternate me was a baddie. Well, I'm sure you are a baddie. You said you're having your second child, right? So I'm pretty sure you're a baddie, or at least your significant other. I don't know what he is to you, but your significant other thinks so. So that's all that matters. Can you tell me what vril is? That's another term I know nothing about. So vril is that it's essentially like secret energy, like secret dark energy that they tried to harness to, I don't know, build BOMBS and all this other nonsense. It's nothing to really be concerned about. It's super secret. Shh, don't tell anybody about the German guys from the 40s who, because I can't say the word or else I'll get banned. But, the German people from the 40s who did bad things to another group of people who really didn't deserve it. And a lot of them, they say 6 million of them, were taken out. Those guys. It's the dark energy from space or deep within the earth or something like that they were trying to like harness. Lucid dreaming is so fun. It's the best. I love it. I do think it's fun. I've seen myself sleeping and left to go look around. Maybe lucid dreaming, I guess. Well, you can also do that in astral projection. But again, it would just be speculation unless I knew the methodology. Do you know anything about the concept of vril? I hope you just heard my whole thing as an answer to your question, because that's the second time you asked it. I used Datura as well. Nice. Happy Mars Day with your red. Was that planned? No, and it's not Mars Day until tomorrow. Oh wait, I'm thinking I'm thinking it's Monday. Yes, sorry, Tuesday. I'm thinking it's Monday. I'm living in the wrong day. No, this was not planned. No, I was actually going to wear blue, and then I was like, I don't like the symbol on the blue shirt, which is Joe Marlin, so I decided to wear Nautica, even though you can't see the symbol because the screen's the square is too small. I was like, I don't like the fish. I'd rather do the Nautica. So, all right. It's after 11. I'm going to do a couple more. I'm going to answer these last few, and then I'm out of here for the evening. I have a little knowledge on I have little knowledge on any of these topics, but have you ever been knowingly possessed? No. Possession is not common outside of self-possession, and that is requested, I guess. No, that's not a good word. That is initiated. Is that no? Because we're talking about initiation. I don't know a synonym. That is sought after by the practitioner, right? So they go into the ritual looking to get possessed, and through that self-possession, through the deity or the spirit or the angel, the demon, whatever it is that you're allowing to control you, you get prophecies and oracles, and you can do healings. You can do lesser divinations. You can do initiations. I know this is common in a lot of Voodoo sects, where they'll allow the Loa or the Orishas, if they honor them in that system, to ride them. Right, they get mounted like a horse and they'll be ridden, and they'll be able to initiate others through the license of the spirit that is riding them. But I've never gone through anything like that, no. I've never been possessed, never been self-possessed. Nope. I have no desire to do any of that. I am fine keeping the spirits external, and we just communicate. Are there any practices that I can look into that involve working with ashes or an object left behind after passing? Yes, necromancy. You can look into the Sabbatica series. This is volume 1. Volume 4 and I think I have 4 and 6. I have 1, 4, and 6 are over here. Sorry, I couldn't find them at first. So that was volume 1. This is volume 6, Sabbatica, volume 6. You can see Sabbatica, volume 6. And this is volume 4. But it's on the side here, Sabbatica, volume 4. And these are all about necromancy. These are anthologies written by Edgar Kervel. Don't know why he keeps switching publishers, because that one's done through Nephilim. This one is done through Sirius Limited, and this one is done through Zos House. So I don't know why he keeps switching publishing companies, but he has 8 of them. And as far as I'm aware, at least half of them are done through separate companies, so whatever. But it's anthologies on necromantic practice from different practitioners from different necromantic practices around the world. So that way you get the perspective of different practitioners and not just one. So this is very a great series, the Sabbaticus series. Sacerdotum Umbrae Mortis is also really good for necromancy. This is by G.D. Laval from Aeon Sophia. This will get you in touch with the dead or whatever that you need to in order to work with. Those you're not allowed to work with, so we'll leave that stuff out. I mean, this is a little advanced, but I guess I'll recommend it. I'm going to warn you, the first, hold on. Let me just look at the table of contents real quick. The first, 90... Yeah, the first 90 pages are going to be, what? It's the language, it's in English, but the esoteric language that it's written in, without initiatic knowledge, you're not going to understand the vast majority of this book until you get to part 2, which is the practical aspect of it. The foundational stuff in this text is very dense. It doesn't start getting, lucid until you're in, page 91. But this is The Baron's Citadel by Peter Hamilton Giles. Here, let me turn on the mirroring. The Baron's Citadel, The Book of Four Ways by Peter Hamilton Giles. And this is a... how do I want to describe this? This is a working grimoire, a practical grimoire to work with the spirits of the dead at the crossroads. Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe this book. I don't know, though, unless you've gone through initiation. I don't know how useful it would be, even if you get to the practical stuff, because you wouldn't really know what you're doing. But this book is very interesting. That's all I'll say. Thank you for your time. You're welcome. You are welcome. Thanks for the tips. How would I start divination? Just grab a tarot deck or a bag of bones or runes or Ogham or I Ching or whatever you're going to read from and just start doing it. Just start learning it and doing it. And that'll force your third eye open. What can scientific theories... Okay, so the last time you were here, you did the same thing. I don't study science. I don't know what Bohemian mechanics are. I study the occult. I'm not a scientist. I don't study science. So I don't know the theories of unbroken unity like in Bohemian mechanics. I don't know what that means. You keep asking about science, and I keep telling you every stream, I'm not a scientist. I don't study science. Opinion on drinking corpse water. Well, I've never heard of corpse water. Is that necromancy, like holy water? Is that like war water or something like that? I wouldn't drink any of that. So I probably would not drink that. Unless you plan on getting cursed. Thank you. You're welcome. You're still on? Yeah, I'm about to get off. I was recommending some books for someone. Books on occultism for a beginner. I have videos on that, or else I'll be on here for another 20 minutes. So I have videos on that. Just click on my page and go through my beginner playlist, my Getting Started in Occultism playlist. Sorry, one more. Can you be born into witchcraft or born with third eye open without methods? I don't think that you can be born a witch. I think, again, everyone has the capability of practicing magic. Magic is learned. It's not something that you're like born. Now you can be born into a family that practices witchcraft or like magic or whatever, but they still have to teach you, right? You're not just going to be 6 years old, knowing how to do magic. You have to be taught it. No, I don't think you're born in that way. It's a big witch talk thing right now, the corpse water debate. Oh wow, all right, I'd have to look into that. I don't really consider myself part of witch talk, but I can look into that. I've never heard of it, but I think I might know what it is. But Rebel, you don't need the drama of the corpse water. Let him keep his innocence from witch talk. Yeah, I don't really consider myself a witch talk. I purposely make sure the hashtags that I use when I make my videos go to the new age and the paranormal side, because that's the audience that I'm trying to talk to. Those are the people that I'm trying to wake up and enlighten, not other witches, whether or not they are witches. So thank you, Council Mystic. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, thank you and good night. Yes, you're very welcome, Amy. Thank you for being here. Please post the YouTube. Yes. Please join the Discord. I will post it in the Discord user 407 or 047. Yes, I will post it in the Discord. Join the Discord. All right. Looks like that's it. So thank you all for being here this evening. Truly appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you guys tomorrow night for the Hermeticism live stream with Alchemic Mason, where we will be reading Hermetica 2, the Stobaean Fragments. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, as always, seek the mysteries. Peace.